It looks like big changes are afoot for Microsoft as they make some sweeping changes to some of the things that they have offered in terms of the Activision deal. And I, like you, are very tired of this situation. And I was on Mooch's podcast the other day and I said, you know, this is something that I hope kind of changes drastically in the future. Like, there's got to be better things to cover, better things to talk about, but it is still gaming news and it's still pertinent. I mean, it's crazy to think that this announcement that they were buying Activision was made over a year ago, and we still haven't really reached a resolution. But Microsoft is trying. You know, they're trying their best. It looks like Sony isn't really getting kowtowed to anymore, meaning that it doesn't matter if they're happy with the outcome or not, as long as the regulators are. So they make some big changes to that, and I think that that's really relevant to what's going to be happening to Microsoft and Xbox in the future. I feel like this deal has to go through. There's no legal precedent for it not to go through, and so I'm very hopeful that it'll get through. And you know, I needed, like, for me personally, a lot of people have asked many times why I wanted to go through. There's, I mean, many reasons, but I think the idea that we could finally start to get old Activision games back is probably number one. But I will get into this right now. What's up, everybody? Crab Gamer here, Crab Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please smash that like button. I'm looking to get 100 likes on each of the videos that I do. Would be absolutely incredible if you could do that. Now, again, like I said, this is very interesting. They've come up with a lot of compromises for the EU over the Activision Blizzard deal. They're making its final push to get this approved. So Microsoft is formally seeking compromise with the European Union over its proposed acquisition of Activision, having now offered a series of remedies to Brussels antitrust authorities in a bid to win approval for the transaction. Now, according to previous reports, Microsoft has been preparing an EU concession package concerning the deal as early as November of 2022. Industry watchers have hence been predicting this turn of events for a while now, and though the EU hasn't yet mounted significant opposition to the deal, that's not to say that the newly proposed remedies are just a formality. Not least of which because the European Commission stated that they're actually going to start investigating this as well last year, citing antitrust concerns. Now, Microsoft has now moved to alleviate those reservations with a formal concession package, according to reports and citing information from a company spokesperson and a separate European Commission filing date, March 17th. The public docket for the case does not yet reflect this development, so the actual contents of the remedies that Microsoft proposed will likely remain unclear for at least another week or so. And now there's no uncertainty about the regulator's next step, however, with Brussels confirming it will now seek feedback from both consumers and Xbox rivals prior to making a ruling on the merger. Now, the current provisional deadline attached to the case is May 22nd, though that date has already been pushed back twice, each time by 10 days. And the UK Competition and Markets Authority itself recently found that half of the Xbox rivals are concerned about the Activision Blizzard deal. So bar any major changes of heart, that's presumably what the EU will conclude as well. The consumer feedback that Brussels will soon start soliciting is less predictable, but also not as likely to influence this type of decision as well. So we do have that to kind of look forward to. The almost $70 billion acquisition already won an unlikely advocate in CWA, one of the largest North American unions that previously sued Activision Blizzard for union busting, but supported the Microsoft takeover in February, open letter to the EU, posting the deal would positively impact labor markets all over the world. Now, those lobbying efforts are unlikely to directly impact Brussels' ruling, primarily because its ongoing probe is solely focused on determining whether owning Call of Duty would give Xbox too much power at the intersection of video game publishers and console manufacturers, which, again, I always found that to be sort of a ridiculous sentiment, because at the end of the day, you know, gamers play a wide variety of games, right? Like, how is that not going to be allowed? But, you know, Final Fantasy, which how many hundreds of millions of copies has Final Fantasy sold in its time on the market, and yet those games don't come to Xbox, you know? So Sony pays to keep those away. Now, it's redundant and unbelievable that this keeps happening, but the Activision Blizzard deal, which also includes mobile gaming giant King, is Microsoft's 10th acquisition scrutinized by the European Commission to date. 9 of those were approved, whereas the remaining transaction was a joint bid with Time Warner for a control and stake in digital rights management company Content Card that both companies abandoned after Thomson Corporation beat them to the punch in 2005. So neither EU legislators or regulators are formally bound by precedents akin to the U.S. common law system. Microsoft's track record with getting M&A activities over the finish line on the old continent is pretty impeccable, so it looks like it's something that we could see happen. And since they did actually push this date back a little bit, it's one of those things where Microsoft has a lot of things going on, both up front and in the back. And you know what? I hope that we see something very soon on this. Like, honestly, there's so many people that are just kind of ill-informed. Like, even myself, I don't claim to be the most informed with this stuff. Mostly I just kind of pay attention, and you just kind of look at what like people in law have been saying about this deal, and they say that there's no real reason to block the deal. So that's kind of the way that I look at this, is that there's not really a reason to block the deal. Sony is pretty much dominating the entire gaming stratosphere right now, and I think that that's one of the things that continues to happen. Like Sony, I don't think will ever lose what's considered, what we do, the console wars in a traditional manner. Microsoft will always be, a distant kind of third to a lot of this stuff, because Sony is such a strong brand in the rest of the world, whereas Microsoft and Xbox are very strong brands like in the US and sometimes in the UK, but the rest of the world unfortunately is still just like hardcore PlayStation for whatever reason. Like, I don't understand the significance of why that's the case, to be honest with you, but that is the case, and it's unfortunate. But I do think that we'll see something come from Microsoft should this go through, and it does look like it probably will go through. I'm not so much worried about the exclusive factor, because they do have other exclusives and other means to get exclusives, but it would be cool to get stuff, Diablo, the Call of Duties, and Game Pass day one would be very smart for them to do that. And they're doing the right things right now. They're signing these deals, which is very much expanding on what they wanted to do. But people are so focused on the deal with Bethesda and ZeniMax, which they were very upfront. Hey, legacy stuff we'll keep everywhere, and the other stuff, we're going to need to keep exclusives. And you need exclusives. They can't just not have exclusives. That'd be ridiculous. But I would always compare this more to Minecraft, and I've mentioned that multiple times now. The reason why is because Minecraft ended up going to more places when it was bought by Microsoft than where it had previously been. So I think we're going to see that with the Activision stuff as well, which would be very exciting to say the least. So hopefully you guys can let me know what's going on. Thank you very much for rocking out with me. I hope you guys all have a great day. Rack 'em up. Crab Gamer out.